Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Nick from Top Notch Sports. This is the current state of the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers were 13-4 in the 2022 NFL season and ultimately lost in the NFC Conference Championship to the Philadelphia Eagles by a score of 31-7. If anyone remembers this game properly, this was during Brock Purdy's elbow injury. The injury ultimately derailed the San Francisco 49ers season, which could have possibly ended with the Lombardi Trophy. In 2023, they're trying to rebound, and they're on track to have a really good record again and possibly finish first in the NFC West. Right now, the San Francisco 49ers are 8-3, first in the NFC West, and they're trying to get back on the track to possibly hoisting up the Lombardi Trophy once again. Kyle Shanahan has been close, but it will soon be his turn to be the head coach, and not only the head coach of a Super Bowl team, but to be the head coach of a team that has won the Super Bowl. Could 2023 be the year of the San Francisco 49ers, or will it crumble, crash, and burn again as we go into the playoffs? This is the current state of the San Francisco 49ers. So here we are. The San Francisco 49ers are currently 8-3, and there are 6 games remaining in the 2023 NFL season. As you can see, they've been very, very hot and cold. You see multiple wins in a row here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight, and then they drop 3 in a row, then they win the next 3, and, with 6 games left, can they keep this going? And you see when they won. You see the games that they've won. Pittsburgh week 1, Los Angeles Rams week 2, the New York Giants week 3, Arizona week 4. And let's just start with those 4. Those 4 games, okay, are not the most, crazy competition that you're facing. Pittsburgh, I thought was going to be really good this year. They've been pretty putrid with Matt Canada, who's finally been fired. The LA Rams, okay, again, they've been very wishy-washy so far this season. They have some talent. I mean, you see, Stafford slinging around to Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, and then, of course, Cooper Kupp. But ultimately, Kupp wasn't around most of the season. And he's really slinging around to guys like Tutu Atwell, okay, and Kyron Williams, the running back. So, Steelers, Rams, Giants have been pretty putrid this year. And the Cardinals, they've been tough. I'll tell you something. The Cardinals have been a lot tougher this year than many would have, projected, especially with Josh Dobbs, who was a quarterback probably during week 4 of this season when the Niners played them. They were tough. So the first 3 or 4 games, really, you could argue that the Niners had a really pretty easy schedule. But then you got Dallas, and they beat Dallas. Now, Dallas is another team. I'll say this right now. San Fran is the most complete team in the National Football League, in my opinion. Okay? There's a lot of teams that look good this year, but they lose. You got Miami, who wins by 71 week, and then they lose. You got Dallas, who blows teams out 40-0, and then they lose. And Dallas, again, a team that's supposed to be really good, they lose to San Fran. And again, I think San Fran is personally better than Dallas. Then somehow, some way, San Fran loses to Cleveland, they lose to Minnesota, and they lose to Cincinnati. Now, I'll give them some, wiggle room here. You're going to lose some games. You can be the best team in the league. You're going to lose games. Cleveland's one of the best defenses in the league. Minnesota, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, Kirk Cousins at the time. You know what I mean? Tough team. Now, I don't think Jefferson was there during that game. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm not too sure he was there or not. But again, that's still a tough team with Addison, Hawkinson, and still Kirk Cousins and a decent defense, okay? Then you go and you play Cincinnati. Again, loaded. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon. And I can go on and on and on with the talent over there on that team. Great defensive coordinator. Zach Taylor's been able to dial some things up over the last 2-3 seasons now to make the Bengals be a contender every year. So, the Niners didn't lose to the Bengals team that was banged up. They didn't lose to the Bengals team that didn't have Joe Burrow. They lost to the team with Joe Burrow when he was finally starting to catch his stride again. Then you go off the bye week. You beat a good Jacksonville Jaguars team. You beat an okay Tampa Bay team. And you beat a Seattle team, okay, that some people believe that we're going to win the division this year. Now, I never believed that personally, but some people thought Geno Smith was going to be the next best thing since sliced bread. So you look at this here. You're 8-3 after the first 11. You got 6 games remaining. You got Philadelphia, Seattle again, Arizona, Baltimore, Washington, and the LA Rams. It's a okay schedule, but here's the thing: being 8-3, you have to what? Win 3 of these next 6 games, and you're one of the best teams in the NFC. I mean, anything more than 3, you win any more than 11 games this year, you're a top seed. And I only feel like 11 definitely wins you the division. So let's move on here. Let's see what else we got. All right, so here is the San Francisco 49ers depth chart. So let's take a look at what we got here. The one thing that's really shocking, to me at least, when you look in the top left corner, this team has $39.8 million in cap space. Okay, so what does that mean? That means right now, if there was ever an emergency, they can make a really big signing in free agency. Now, here's the issue. Nobody right now is really out there in free agency that you're going to really want to bring in. And the reason I would have thought that this roster would have had $2 million in cap space, $3 million in cap space. They have nearly $40 million right now to use. Now, here's the thing about that. The reason why they have that much money is because Brock Purdy is on a undrafted rookie contract. Okay, so they got that $30-40 million that they usually would have to be spending on a quarterback. That doesn't mean that they'll have this money going into next year's free agency. I want to make sure that gets out of everyone's head right now. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying was, God forbid anything was to happen, they do have some money that they could call some people up possibly and bring them in, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces if they had to. And again, most of the free agents there right now, you're probably not giving them more than $10 million a year. So you're probably going to give them right around $3 to $8 million. So figure, that's 4 to 5 easily guys that you could bring in, or maybe you take 2 to 3 swings at the fences and see, if you can get somebody to come out and play for you. Now, again, this isn't an emergency situation. In all reality, who are you really going to bring in? God forbid Purdy went down. Cam Newton just said the other day he wouldn't play for $5.5 million. You would need way more than that. Well, I'll be honest with you. At that point, I would just rock and roll with Sam Darnold. Wide receiver wise, I can't think of a wide receiver right now in free agency that I would want to drop a decent amount of money into. It's not like there's an OBJ sitting out there just waiting to be signed. So there's a lot of things here for this team. You got a lot of money that you could use if you needed to try to make a push. But in reality, there's nobody really there. Let's take a look, though. So first things first, you got Brock Purdy, of course, very solid quarterback for this football team. Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. I was a huge fan of Elijah Mitchell coming out of college. Christian McCaffrey is also a stud for you guys. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. 2 really good receivers. People are saying, oh, this is a super team. In reality, it's not really a super team. The only 2 pieces they really brought in, were Chase Young and Christian McCaffrey. Everything else has been handpicked or, drafted by themselves. And usually when you say super team, you're bringing in a bunch of guys for really cheap contracts that shouldn't be playing on cheap contracts that are just trying to win a Super Bowl. The only guy that this team really got, cheap was Chase Young. They paid for McCaffrey, and everyone else on the team's really been drafted for the most part. So, this team, if you want to call them a super team, it's because they've built a super team. Javon Hargrave is another guy that I guess people could say, but again, they paid him a boatload of money to play here. So really good, drafting, signing, and scouting by, this organization. And as you go forward here with Kyle Shanahan, he's been able to build something great and utilize these pieces very well. I mean, Deebo Samuel is being utilized to his full capability. Most teams would not be able to use Deebo Samuel the way Kyle Shanahan is. Okay, George Kittle, another one of the top 5, you could argue 3 tight ends in the National Football League. You look at the defense. That defensive line, most scariest thing I've ever seen. Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Eric Armstead, Chase Young. You got 2 more edge rushers in Khalil Ferrell and Randy Gregory that, you use them in limited roles. Yeah, they're scary too. And then Javon Kinlaw, I was a huge fan of coming out of the draft. Really hasn't panned out, but it's mainly been because of injuries. And yes, his on-field production hasn't been as great as any of us wanted it to be either. So the biggest issue with this team clearly is, at least in my opinion, is when you look at your linebackers. Like, you got Fred Warner, who's phenomenal. Okay, Drake Greenlaw, who's been doing really good. Burks, I'm not too familiar with him. But the linebacker position is not the scariest. The scariest to me right now is your secondary. Okay, your defensive line is phenomenal. Your linebackers, I mean, Fred Warner can hold it down himself, but Dre Greenlaw is also a really nice help. And you look at your safeties, Hufanga going on the IR is going to kill you guys this year. It's not going to, I mean, it's not going to make you guys not be competitive. I'm just saying that it's going to hurt. It would hurt any team. And you'll look at your corners. Trevarius Ward's been playing phenomenal for you guys this year. But again, you look at the other guys, Lenore, Isaiah Oliver, Ambry Thomas, Tayshawn Gibson, Jair Brown, the rookie. You got a lot of guys back there that, I'm not going to say I feel too comfortable with. But they've been doing all right. As a whole, this unit's been doing all right. And if you ask them to cover for 1.5 seconds before your pass rush gets in, how bad are they really going to look? Not bad at all. Because, again, this pass rush is so damn dominant. All right. So that's that. Let me know what you think about your depth chart. I think that it's one of the most complete rosters in the league. But it's not, superstars all over the place. It's role players that this staff has been able to really, utilize well. Trevarius Ward is not a 1A cornerback. Jawan Jennings is not, one of the greatest wide receivers in the game. Brandon Ayuk is a good receiver. I don't even know if they're going to bring him back next year. So when you look at this team, you got some superstars. Debo is a superstar. McCaffrey, superstar. Kittle, superstar. Okay? Defensively, Young and Bosa, superstar. I think you throw in Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, and maybe Javon Hargrave as well, right? So you got superstars. But besides that, you got a bunch of role players. And I cannot leave out Trent Williams, one of the best offensive tackles in the National Football League, if not the best. And then you look at the rest of the team. I mean, Jake Brendel, Colton McVitz, huh? You know what I mean? Like Oren Burks, Jawan Jennings, Isaiah Oliver. Okay, that's not a super team. A super team would, wide receiver, they would bring in somebody like Mike Evans. If they bring in Mike Evans next year for really cheap because he wants to win a Super Bowl, that's a super team. So what I'm trying to tell you fans is, to you guys, the fans, the loyal fans, I'm tired of people discrediting this team. This has been a team that's been homegrown with a few additions. I give you all the credit in the world for the team that you guys are currently building. Let's keep this thing pushing. I can talk about this team all day. So your current record is 8-3. Our analytical tool, our top-notch sports model, projects there to be 3 favorable games remaining, 0 unfavorable games remaining, and 3 toss-up games. So what does this mean? So we have a top-notch sports model that was created by Noah Thompson, our analytical guy on our channel. He created this tool for us. And it puts a lot of things, a lot of stats and analytics into a engine, and it, alternates certain numbers. So according to that, so in this video, let me start with this. You're going to see 2 things. You're going to see our analyst projections, and then you're going to see our analytical tools projections. So right now, this is our analytical tool. It's believing that you have 3 favorable games and 3 toss-up games and 0 unfavorable games. So again, in theory, if you can win those 3 favorable games, which are games that you're supposed to win according to the model, you're at 11 wins, you're fine. Then you steal 1 or 2 of those toss-up games, you're sitting at 12, 13 wins. I mean, that's definitely, 1 or 2 seed. If you get to 12 or 13, you're probably the number 1 or 2 seed in the NFC. 13 for sure, I think you're number 1. 12, 1 or number 2. You're at 11, it's close. So again, you got to at least win those favorable and then hopefully be able to pull a few of those toss-up games. 0 unfavorable. It's tough to have 0 unfavorable games, but when you're a team like the Niners and you're one of the best teams in the National Football League, you really don't have any unfavorable games. They're all at least toss-ups or favorable games. So your current record is 8-3. There are 3 favorable games, and our model projects that they are the Arizona game, the Washington game, and the LA Rams. Okay, so there's 3 favorable games. These are the games that our model is saying that you must win these games. If you want to be the first seed in the entire NFC, get that first round bye, you're going to want to win these 3 games, because if you don't win these 3 games, it's going to be, you're going to be fighting. You're going to be fighting to hopefully you have that number 1 or number 2 seed. Hopefully that number 1, but you may fall into that number 2 spot. So again, you really want to win these 3 games if you want to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. According to our model, right now you're 8-3, and there are 0 unfavorable games. So you can, pat yourself on the back on that one. According to our model, there's 3 toss-up games, and those games are defined as the Philadelphia game, the Seattle game, and the Baltimore game. Look, when the going gets tough, you're either going to win these games or you're going to lose these games. You're not going to tie. If you do, well, then I guess you can come back here and comment in the video, hey, we tied. But this is what I'm going to tell you right now. If you want to be able to be that number one seed in the NFC, and again, I think this team is going to ultimately be able to do it. But again, I'll show you my prediction at the end of this video. You're going to have to steal a few of these. Not only are you going to have to win those favorable ones, you're going to have to at least take one or two of these. And I'm going to say you at least need two. Take two, you're in a comfortable spot. You take one, you're really risking something. So again, you got to probably win 4 of these next 6 if you want to have a shot at being the number one seed in the NFC. So here's our predicted record. So predicting the next 3 games with 3 games remaining, or the first 3 we got. Here's how we got you doing over the next 3 games. The game against Philadelphia right now, we're saying is too close to call. We're not going to make that decision just yet. We'll do it at the end of the video. The game against Seattle is another game that we're also going to say right now is too close to call. We don't want to just throw things out there right now. These are 2 games that are definitely going to come down to the wire. And I'm not just going to say, oh, win or loss right now. Okay, I'm going to come back to the very end and let you know. But with 3 games left on the schedule, these final 3 games, we have you at 9-3 because we have you beating the Cardinals with 2 toss-up games yet to be decided. So in reality, you have 5 games remaining. But at this point in the season, you have 3 left. You're 9-3 guaranteed by our model. And we'll see what else we have you doing going forward. So again, 9-3 so far. Okay, currently is what we're projecting. We're projecting, not our model. Our model is going to project at the end. We have you going 9-3, beating Arizona, with 2 too close to call games that we'll project at the end of this video. Your next 3 games, here's what we got. With 0 games left, we have you too close to call against Baltimore. We have you beating the Washington Commanders, and we get you beating the LA Rams. So right now, we have you at 11-3. With 0 games left, you'd be 11-3 with 3 too close to call games yet to be decided. And we're going to decide those on the next slide. So right now, you're at 11-3 with 3 too close to call games. Now, again, if you don't win any of these, you finish 11-6, you're really trying to fight for that number one spot, you may not do it. I believe probably 12, 13 games, you may have that number one spot. 11 wins, I don't know if that's enough to get you to where you want to be. So let's see what we got you doing over the next 3 too close to call games. The next 3 too close to call games with 0 games remaining, we have you going and beating the Eagles, beating the Seahawks, and ultimately beating the Baltimore Ravens. We have you winning out the rest of the way in the final 6 games. We feel like this is very possible. We got you beating a tough Philadelphia team, beating a Seattle team that you beat up last week, but here's the thing. Seattle's going to be a little bit tougher this game because Geno's going to be, last time you played him, he's coming off an elbow injury, just suffered not too long ago. He's going to have a week or 2 to heal up from that injury. He's going to come back trying to fire away. And they'll also probably have Kenneth Walker by that point. So it's going to be a tough game. And the Baltimore game, again, I think they're a tough team, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Niners are the best team in the National Football League, coached by who I believe is one of the, if not the best offensive-minded coach in the National Football League in Kyle Shanahan. So you pair those 2 things up, you get a really solid football team. 14-3 is our projected analyst prediction to end the season. We get you winning out. That would put you on let's figure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 game win streak going into the playoffs, being the number 1 seed in the NFC, and having a first round bye, trying to punch your ticket into the Super Bowl. Let's keep this thing rolling. So our predicted record, we have you finishing the season at 14-3. Our top-notch sports model projects your absolute floor. If all shit hits the fan, you'll finish 12-5 according to our model. Our model is projecting you finish with a 13-4 record, unlike what our analysts are projecting a 14-3 record. They're saying it is likely that you finish the year 13-4. And they're saying your absolute ceiling is 14-3, which is what we're projecting. Look, I've never projected a team to win out before. I feel like it is likely for this team to win out. It's going to be tough. It's much easier to say 13-4, 12-5. But even our model is saying that, your floor is 12-5. They're saying you're going to be right around 13-4, which means that you would drop 1. And I wouldn't be shocked if you dropped 1 either. Look, dropping a Baltimore game, dropping the Seattle game, dropping the Philly game, or even dropping one of those games that you're not supposed to drop, but you may just do it because it is the way the National Football League is. Some bad teams beat good teams on occasion. It may happen. But we're swinging for the fences here. All of we're in agreement here that you're going to finish the year 14-3, win out, have a first round bye, and be one of the best teams in the National Football League that we've seen in, possibly the last 3-4 seasons. I mean, this is a potent team. You may not have a superstar quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, but Brock Purdy is able to do just enough to get this team to win. And to be honest with you, I love the guy. So let's keep this thing pushing. We got one more thing to go over. So currently, your team is 8-3. We have you going 6-0 in the final 6 and projecting your final record to be 14-3 this season. One more time, your current record is 8-3. We have you going 6-0 in the final 6, finishing with a record of 14-3. So here's our final prediction. The San Francisco 49ers finished with a record of 14-3, finished first in the NFC West, easily being the number 1 seed in the NFC, getting that first round bye, winning the divisional round, making it to the conference championship, and then potentially punching their way in to the Super Bowl to have a chance to hoist the Lombardi Trophy for the first time in Kyle Shanahan's head coaching career. One more time, our final prediction is the San Francisco 49ers finish with a record of 14-3, finish first in the NFC West, easily being the number 1 seed in the NFC, having the first round bye, winning in the divisional round, making it to the conference championship, and trying to ultimately punch their ticket into the Super Bowl, where they have a chance to hoist the Lombardi Trophy once again. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are Built Better.
Alrighty, set.
Hehehehe